Welcome to Rancho Los Cerritos' creation station for the month of March. The theme for this month is Spring Has Sprung. So now we're getting to the time of year where the season goes from winter to spring, and to me that makes me think of lots of flowers blooming, new animals being born, so seeing lots of birds and lots of flowers as you're walking around. And especially at the rancho, lots of different flowers are blooming around the site, and we've got lots of birds who live on the grounds as well. So our crafts for this month have to do with flowers and birds, two things that made me think of springtime. So the first thing is a backyard bird feeder. So this is something that you can hang up if you have your own yard. You can hang it up in your yard, somewhere outside a window, and see if birds will come and eat the Cheerios or birdseed off of that. So to make this craft, you just need a toilet paper roll, a hole punch, you need a ribbon or some kind of yarn or string for it to hang, and then a couple of sticks if you want to have a little perch for the birds to sit on. And then for the bird feeder itself, you'll need peanut butter or some kind of alternative that will stick things to the toilet paper roll. And if you have birdseed, you can use that, but I didn't. So I have Cheerios, which are also kind of made of grains, so a similar thing. And then I also have this knife to spread the peanut butter, and then a plate to have the Cheerios on to kind of get them onto the bird feeder. So that's the materials you'll need for that craft. And then our second craft is a paper flower wreath. So for this one, it's made pretty much just of paper. So the materials are paper of different colors. So I have some construction paper that's just solid colors, and then some other sort of scrapbooking paper that has different patterns. And then I've got green construction paper for leaves. So if you want to include leaves, you can have some green for that. Then a piece of cardboard or cardstock, just something that's a little bit sturdier to be the kind of the background or the base of your wreath. Then you will need scissors, a glue stick, and tape. And then a ribbon if you want to hang it. And then I have a pencil here too, just to trace the shape of the circles for the wreath. And that's pretty much it. So with these simple materials you hopefully have around your house, you can make these two crafts. So we are going to start with the bird feeder. So I'm going to move these things just off to the side for a moment, so we don't need them for this craft. And we're going to focus on the bird feeder. So again, this is what the sample looks like. And the base is this toilet paper roll. And we are going to be spreading peanut butter on it, rolling it in Cheerios so that they'll stick. But I like to do the hole punching first, just so that I don't have to touch this too much once it's all covered in peanut butter. So I have my hole punch, and I'm going to make 2 holes, one on either side. If they can be more or less straight across this circle from each other, that's great. But this is just for it to hang, so if it's not perfect, that's totally fine. So I'm just going to do it, punch the hole far enough down the toilet paper roll. I don't know if you can see this, but it's far enough down that it's not going to rip if a bird lands on this and kind of tugs on it. But because of the shape of this, you can't get it too far down the toilet paper roll. So now I've got 2 holes, one on either side of this, and I want to thread my string through it. And this is a longer one. For me, it's easier to have a little bit longer, just because you never know where you're gonna have to hang it. So for this one, I tied knots at the ends of the ribbon. So you can see I tied a knot over here, pulled it through, and the same thing over here. So that one made a loop. I'm gonna do something different with this one and do it the opposite way. So I'm gonna thread from the inside and then pull that end of the ribbon out, and do the same thing on the other side. So this is just a different style. For this bird feeder, I can just go hang this on a branch. And this one, I can actually tie it. So this one, if you're not totally sure where you are going to hang it, or if you don't have a tree with nice sturdy branches, this might be a better option just because you can really tie it down to something so it won't fall off. So I've got that. I'm gonna stick those inside the ribbon ends just so they're not in the way while I'm doing the rest of it. And then I'm going to now poke holes at the opposite end, so it would be the bottom when it's hanging, for the stick to go through. And since I only have one really long stick, I'm just going to do one. If you have multiple sticks, you could add them more. You could do them all the way up and down the toilet paper roll if you like. The other sticks I have are kind of short, and so I don't think they'll work too well. But I'm going to do pretty much the same thing I did up here. I'm going to have a hole on either end of the toilet paper roll so that I can take that stick and just thread it through so it'll stick out the same way as it does on this bird feeder. I'll do it. And I'm kind of doing the same thing. I don't want it to be too close to the edge of the toilet paper roll, so nothing like tears and opens up. So I'm going to take the stick and poke it through one of the holes. If you're doing this, you just want to be careful, especially if that stick is a little bit bigger than your hole. Just go nice and slow and steady, and it helps to kind of twist it as you're pushing it through, but you don't want to get any blisters or anything, or splinters, sorry. So this, I think that's good. So now there's a little perch on either side of the bird feeder, so a bird could come land here and then eat those Cheerios off of here. Now we're ready for the peanut butter part and the Cheerios, or the bird seed. So I'm just gonna get this peanut butter and spread a thin layer all the way around this toilet paper roll. It's really, you just need enough so that the Cheerios will stick to it. The peanut butter isn't the main food for the birds, it's actually the Cheerios. So it doesn't have to be too thick, but you do want enough that it'll be kind of a glue for those Cheerios to stick on. All right, so now I've got this kind of even layer of peanut butter around that toilet paper roll. So I'm gonna pour out, since I'm using Cheerios, I'm gonna pour some of those out onto this plate. If you have bird seed, you can do the same with the bird seed, or if you have another kind of grain-based cereal that you're using instead, you can use that. So we'll start with that. I'm just gonna get them kind of as evenly spread out on that plate as I can. And I'm gonna take my stick back out, actually, now that I've made the hole the right size. And then just roll this toilet paper around in those Cheerios so that they'll stick to that peanut butter. So just from kind of rolling it around, I got them pretty well stuck, but now just where these gaps are, I'm just gonna grab them with my hands and stick them on. So you wanna cover as much of the surface of peanut butter as you can with the Cheerios, because the more Cheerios there are, or the more bird seed, the more food for the birds. So I'm just gonna cover up all of these gaps and spaces that are left here. All right, now that I've got that done, I'm just going to gently put the stick back through these bottom holes. And now this is ready to go. I have a couple of bird feeders that I can go hang outside and see if birds will come and what kind of birds come to eat the Cheerios off of these feeders. All right, so now we're gonna move to the second craft. So now I'm gonna move all of these things off to the side so we have more space for the paper flower wreath. So again, the main supply or material you need for the paper flower wreath is paper. It's just different kinds of paper, and the more colors, the more types of paper, the more difference there will be, and the more each one will stand out from the next. So the to make each of these flowers, the main step is to do an accordion fold. So let me see, I've got a couple of these already made. I'm going to use this scrapbook paper. And what you need for the flowers is a long strip of paper. So I'm going to just cut a strip. And about 1 inch is good, but I'm going to do one a little bit thicker and one a little thinner just so you can see the difference in how they turn out, so you can kind of decide what you want to do. So if you prefer to use like a ruler or a straight edge to make a line and then cut that, you can totally do that. I just fold mine over the amount that I want it to be thick, and then line up the edges so that it's as straight as I can get it, and then just fold it across, and then I cut along that fold. So this one is a little bit thinner, and then with this other paper I'll do this one a little bit thicker, and we'll see the difference in how these turn out. You can see this one's a little bit thicker than the other one. So I'll cut these 2 strips out. All right, I've got one a little bit thicker, one thinner. And the accordion fold is when you go back and forth making folds in opposite directions. So the first fold, I'm going to take the very edge of this and fold it towards myself. So just a little bit folded over. And now I am going to fold away from myself. So I folded this one towards me. The next one will go away. I'm going to try to keep that fold right along the edge of the paper, and then fold again. So you're folding back and forth. It's making an accordion shape, or kind of a zigzag. So when you open it up, it will kind of bounce open and close like the instrument does. So the accordions are those instruments that kind of go like this, and as they fold and open, they make different noises. So you just keep up that pattern, fold, towards yourself, away, or if you're thinking like this, like left and right, back and forth, all the way down the length of the paper. On this one I had just kind of this little edge left over that's not really enough to be its own fold. So I'm just gonna trim that off. And now the same on this one. So I'm gonna make the folds about the same thickness. So fold one over this way, and then the next one I'll fold back, and keeping that fold right along the edge of where that paper was. And again, just doing that all the way across the entire length of this strip of paper. All right, so I have both of these. Now, when this turns into a flower, one edge of the paper is just going to be the center of the flower. So we're gonna leave that end as it is. This opposite end, if I just turn this into a flower by, see if I can do it. You see it's got this kind of straight edge around the end. If you want it to have more of like a flower petal shape, you can cut this end. And what I did was a zigzag because that's a little bit easier, but you can also cut like a rounded edge, like the edge of a flower petal. And with the point, or like the other zigzag, you're just cutting up on one and then down on the next. And you can follow these folds. So you're folding up and then down and then back up and then down. And you're doing that across the whole thing. So this is just going to create that zigzag edge. So then that will look like these flowers having these kind of zigzag petals on the edge instead of a straight edge. If you like having the straight edge, or if you want to mix it up and have the different flowers have different types of edges, that will create a different look for each of them. And that might even be a little bit more like how flowers are in nature. If you have some flowers around your house, you can kind of look around, see what their petals look like, and take inspiration from that, or you can just go with whatever shape inspires you. So there I have this one. It's that flat straight edge on one side and then this zigzag on the opposite side. And I'm going to do the same thing with this other strip of paper. I'm going to leave this bottom side the way it is and then cut zigzags on the other side. All right, so I've got both of these. Then to make the flower, this is going to have to create a loop, and it is eventually going to be like these, but you can just glue these in a circle for right now before making this more three-dimensional loop. So let's see. I'm going to glue these together. So you want to keep that zigzag shape. So when you glue them together, it's still going to follow that same kind of zigzag pattern. And for this, you can just use a glue stick. That's going to work really well for this paper on paper. And then you are going to want to wait for this to kind of dry or really have a chance to stick together before you move on to the next step. And if you have little like paper clips, or these are little miniature clothespins, you can use those to help that process so they're really getting stuck together. So there's one, and I'll do the same thing with this one. I'm just going to glue these two ends together with the glue stick. And I've got a couple more of these. So it'll work best if you give this a little bit of time to really stick and for the glue to dry out a bit before you kind of pop it open into this circle shape. So this is what you are going to do with them. With the loop, you're just going to fold the center towards itself, so that straight edge will become the center of the flower, and then that zigzag edge will be the outside of the flower. And if you have more time or more patience, you can just put something flat so that it will stay together. But what I did was I just put tape on the outside to hold it together, so then it stays in this flower shape without having to wait a long time for a book to kind of flatten it out or something like that. So I have a couple that I made here. So you're just going to want to keep making as many of these flowers as you want for the size of your wreath. I haven't cut my wreath shape out yet because I kind of wanted to see how much space the flowers needed. Just because they're a little bit three-dimensional, it's a little hard to overlap them, so I want to make sure I have enough space. So I've got 6 flowers, and I think that's probably enough. I'm gonna see. Oh, here is my piece of, this is just really thin cardboard. You can even use cardstock. It's just gonna be the base of the wreath. So here you can see there's just a piece of cardboard on that as well. So a wreath is basically like a circle. You could make a different shape wreath if you want, like if you want a triangle, a square, anything. But if you do want a circle, you can either trace something that's the size of the circle you want, or if you don't have something on hand that you can trace, there's another kind of quick way to do it, where you have a ribbon and a pencil. You can tie the ribbon around the pencil just so it won't kind of slide off. And let's see how big these are. If I want the whole, I think probably just about as wide as this is. So if I have the end of the ribbon that doesn't have a pencil, if I'm holding that at where I want the center of the circle, and then I just hold the pencil out, so this is my shorter side, I can just kind of draw. So it might not be perfect, but that makes a pretty good circle shape. And then to make the center of the circle, or center of the wreath, I'm just gonna make another circle that is a little bit smaller than that. So I'll cut out the center so it has an open center shape. And again, you don't have to worry too much about if this circle is perfect, because it is going to get covered up with those flowers and leaves if you add them. So if it doesn't look perfectly like a circle, that's totally okay. I wouldn't worry too much about it. So now I'm going to cut out the circle part here, and then I'm going to cut the inner circle out. So I'm just left with a loop of cardboard. All right, here's my loop. As you can probably see, it is not perfect. That is okay, because it's gonna get covered up. So now it's pretty much time to start adding these circles. So if you have your loops that have been sitting for a while, the glue should be ready to go. So if you have construction paper that's the same color on either side, it doesn't really matter which way you pop it. If you have scrapbook paper like this, it's white on one side and colorful on the other. So you want to push the, if you're looking at it, you want to have the colorful side on the outside, and you're pushing it inwards. And it does take a second to kind of get the feel of it. You're really just kind of pushing it in, making almost like a tree or mountain shape. And then if you just keep pushing the center in, it will eventually go in like this. So it's kind of like a pinwheel almost. It makes this circle shape. And again, it's gonna want to open back up. So if you want, you can flatten this, put something heavy on it, and leave it for a couple of days so that it really stays in this shape on its own. But what I did was I just added some tape on the back to hold it in that shape that I wanted. So I'll make a couple pieces of tape, and I'll just have them here on the end of my table ready to go. And then I'll push this down again. And I want the tape to be on the back, or with this paper, what's the white, not colorful side. So I'm going to put the tape on here, and I can just kind of like pinch around some of these folds so that the tape really sticks. And then the cool thing, if you do it this way too, is that it has more of like this sort of bowl shape. So the flower is sort of, the flower part's coming out. It's a little more three-dimensional. And then the tape gives you this kind of flat surface here in the center that will help you tape or glue this on to your cardboard when you're ready. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm just going to fold that inwards, pop it down, and then use tape over here. And then when I say that I pinch it, I try to show you a little bit closer up what that really means. That piece didn't work. So I've got it here. Just gonna grab this flat knot zigzag end and push it down. See, like, it really wants to pop up, so that's what the tape is for. So I put the tape kind of across here first, and then here where this fold is, I'm gonna pinch down on that pinch down on this one and then really kind of tap this along those folds. And then this other piece of tape is going to go kind of the opposite to make like a plus sign or a T, and then pinch along these folds here. And then I just kind of take it and I squeeze from both sides so that the tape is really connecting to those folds, because that's not a lot of paper. If that's a fold, it's just that tiny little strip of paper along the fold that can touch the tape. So you really want to kind of squeeze that so they'll stick together as much as possible. So here you can see, depending on how thick that original strip of paper is that you cut and make the accordion fold, that just affects the size of your flower. So a thinner strip will make a smaller flower, a thicker strip will make a little bit bigger flower. So you can play around with different types of paper, different colors, different sizes to make your wreath. You can make different wreaths that are all different sizes. So it's really up to you. So you're going to want to just keep making these until you have as many as you need to cover your wreath space. All right, so now I have enough flowers to cover the whole wreath area. And if all you have is glue stick, you can make it work. You're just gonna have to really press down on the flowers, and afterwards it'll even help if you can put something heavy enough to kind of press them down on top. If you have the tape though, you can just use the tape or hot glue, whatever you have on hand. If you're using hot glue, you just want to make sure you have an adult helping you use that. So I just used tape and made loops of tape. So I cut just a small piece and then folded each of those edges in, overlapped them, and pressed down, and that made a little loop. And so I'll just put that on the back side of the flower and stick it down, and just keep doing that for each of them. All right, so here I have the wreath, if you want to add like leaves, if you have some green paper, you can add some leaves as well. These are a darker green, but I'm going to make a lighter green. So if you want a lot of leaves that are the same size and shape, you can just fold your paper in half. So this, if I cut a leaf out of this, it will make 2. If I fold it again, this will actually make 4, because there's now 1, 2, 3, 4 sheets. If I hold it one more time, it will make 8 leaves that are all the same. And the first time I cut leaves, I just kind of freestyled it, but you can also draw it out. So it's kind of like a half circle shape, like a long half circle, almost like the shape of an eye or like an almond. So I did kind of like this, and then just copy that on the bottom to make this kind of leaf shape. So there, I've got that leaf, and I'm just going to cut this out, and then I will end up with 8 leaves that are all this size and shape in this light green color. So here we go. Here are all my little leaves. And so you can kind of decide where you want them to go. And you can either use a glue stick to stick them to the cardboard, or just a little bit of the tape. Since mine are kind of underneath the flowers, the tape won't show. Or just add some glue to the edge of this one, and again slide it underneath, and then kind of push it down. All right, so here you go. You can see I didn't put a leaf in every single spot between the flowers, but kind of spread out. Here I put 2 leaves. You can really do it however you would like. And then if you want to add a ribbon to this, you can either hole punch and add it. The cardboard was a little thick, so I didn't really want to hole punch it, but you can just tape a ribbon to the back. And I can do that. Use this ribbon I used to make my circle. And I'm going to tape it to the back, just so that it won't slide out of the tape from the weight of the wreath. I'm going to make the loop and then tie a knot here at this end. So I'm making this knot here, so the tape will go up here, and then the knot is gonna not go through that tape as easily as if it were just these two, the 2 ends of the ribbon. Get my tape again, so that's gonna go above that knot, and maybe this will be the top. Add this here. So there, I just taped that onto the back. And now here I have this paper flower wreath that I can put up in my room. You can even put this like outside on your door, anywhere you would like to add a little pop of spring flower color. And then again, your bird feeders or Cheerio bird feeders, those anywhere outside where you think birds would like to come and they'd like to have a little snack. So you can bring these out to celebrate that spring has finally sprung. It's springing. And if you would like to come see flowers at Rancho Los Cerritos, we are open to the public, so you can come stroll the grounds Wednesday through Sunday, 1 to 5, and actually with bonus hours on Saturdays, so starting at 10 a.m. until 5. You can make reservations on the Rancho Los Cerritos website so that you have a time slot where you've got a space reserved. Walk around the grounds. You'll be able to peek inside some of the rooms. Only our outdoor spaces are open right now, but you can see lots of flowers, you can see birds, and we do have a monthly birding opportunity if you'd like to come on site with a bird expert who can point out some of those birds to you. So I'll add that information here. You can also just check our website for all of the things that we're offering right now, both online and what we are able to offer on site right now. I hope that you will make these. Please tag us in social media. I'll add the Rancho's social media handles below, and you can use the hashtag RLC Creation Station so that can help me find you. I'd love to see all of the things that you make, and I hope that you'll join me next month in April on the first Saturday for April's Creation Station with the theme April Showers. I hope you all enjoyed making these March crafts. I'd love to see you again virtually for next month's Creation Station in April, and maybe on site checking out some of those lovely flowers and birds at Rancho Los Cerritos. Until next time.